Hey, Scoo, did you see?
See what?
They're making a sequel to Deep Blue Sea.
After all these years?
After all these years, I thought was interesting. It looks like obviously the original is a B movie, but I think this is going to be above like Sharknado level, but maybe more of a B movie than the original was a B movie. But I couldn't quite tell from the trailer because the production values look quite good. And to be honest, I've done no research since I saw the trailer to learn who's directing, who's involved, and
yeah,
I'm pretty sure Rennie Harlin isn't involved at all.
Right.
But I saw the trailer and I immediately thought of you, and I thought of me, and I thought of our shared appreciation of the movie Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah, well, Deep Blue Sea was a bit of a gem in its day.
Yeah, and a misunderstood gem, I always thought.
Rennie Harlin, fantastic director. Kind of coming to the end of his prime, I guess. It was probably one of the last great movies he made.
Yeah, I think so, right? Like
Die Hard 2, Long Kiss Goodnight, Cliffhanger,
Cutthroat Island.
Yeah, a lot of great movies. Cutthroat Island's a bit,
I haven't seen it recently, but I remember liking Cutthroat Island more than the Pirates of the Caribbean, because I remember whenever people would say, "Oh, Pirates of the Caribbean, so amazing," I'd always say,
we already
"Yes, man, have you seen Cutthroat Island? It's way better." But maybe I was wrong. I'm not sure. I need to see it again. But yeah,
it's a little hard to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. At the tail end of his sort of popularity and his time in Hollywood, he made Deep Blue Sea, which obviously had pretty good cast. Sam Jackson,
Saffron Burrows,
Thomas Jane.
I was going to say Aaron Eckhart, but it's Thomas Jane.
Yeah, Tom Jane. Yeah, the other Aaron Eckhart. The other, who was it? Josh Lucas and
Cole Hauser.
Yeah. LL Cool J. It's got Skarsgård. One of the Skarsgårds is in it.
The older one, yeah.
Daddy Skarsgård's
in it. Intelligent Sharks are in it.
Great animatronics.
Yeah, a lot of practical effects.
Real sharks, and awesome looking sharks at that. I'm a bit of a shark fan, and when I saw those sharks, I remember thinking that's pretty badass.
A little bit of an Alien vibe, I remember thinking, in terms of you're not quite sure who the main character actually is until a certain point through the movie,
right.
And the main characters that you think are going to live get killed off halfway through the movie.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I'm sure people have seen it. Well, if they haven't, they should watch it.
Yeah, you should watch it.
I didn't say which characters get killed off, but some surprising deaths. Some very surprising, exciting deaths on screen.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously when it came out, I think was maybe during a bit of a shift in what people wanted in movies as well. Maybe that was as we entered the gritty, realistic phase of everything had to be gritty and dark and real. I'm not sure.
It didn't last very long.
No, but I remember that it wasn't received well. I'm sure it was a bit of a bomb at the box office.
It probably was, but in terms of our enjoyment, it was quite high. We all enjoyed it very, very much, and it was a bit of a, I guess, cult classic. I don't know if that's the right word, but...
Well, I think that's interesting, isn't it? Has it achieved cult classic status yet, 19 years after it came out?
Not the cult classic status only seems to fit movies that are kind of a bit crap, generally. This movie was not crap.
I'm just looking here. It also had Michael Rappaport.
Oh, that's right.
Ada Totoro was in it. Remember that?
Yeah.
And that's it. No one else. No one else of note. But yeah, I mean, actually looking here on IMDb, you see Lake Placid and a couple of others again. Oh, don't start me on Lake Placid. I'm a big Lake Placid fan. I think that's a great B movie. In the same vein, but I guess the question would be, was Deep Blue Sea knowingly enough of a B movie to be considered a cult classic, or was it just written off as a bad, attempt at making a blockbuster?
Yeah, that's hard to tell. You could take it either way, couldn't you? It was either an A movie that failed, or it was a B movie that succeeded.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like when you watched it back then, 19 years ago, I remember thinking that the production value was really good. It felt big in scale.
Rennie Harlin knew how to make a big,
it was beautifully shot and
movie.
It looks great. Yeah, great action sequences.
Yeah,
some great tense moments, like the The bit with the dude and the gurney goes down into the water,
Yeah,
and
that's
you
right.
know,
And her stalking around with the shark, swimming through the rooms.
Yeah. Some really good
And
moments.
some real gore in it as well.
Some brutal shark attacks.
So, is it worthy
of a sequel?
Is it worthy of a sequel, though?
Well, I think, like, you know, back then, things, movies weren't set up to be a franchise, were they? They were just set up to be a one-off thing. So, let's have a look. So, just looking at Deep Blue Sea 2 here on IMDb, there is nobody of note in the cast.
So this is a proper B movie.
Yeah, but surely they're...
How are they even calling this a sequel? It probably has no connection to the original in any way, shape or form. It won't be set on some sort of... what was that? Like, man-made atoll thing.
It was
floating
a sub-base.
Yeah,
an abandoned sub-base.
Yeah, it won't be set on that, probably. What's the link?
And the research in the first one was to cure Alzheimer's, wasn't it? That was what they were trying to do. The sharks produced an enzyme that reversed the effects of Alzheimer's. So,
but
I mean, that's a super cheesy way to get to
arm.
genetically engineered sharks. But, you know, you didn't pay it much mind. It says here, the synopsis says, a brilliant billionaire named Carl Durant is experimenting on bull sharks, which soon rebel to cause havoc for a group of scientists. It
sounds more like a reboot.
I guess it's the same storyline.
Yeah, but probably not done as
Doesn't
well.
say
Darren
Scott directed. Darren Scott has done...
SFA?
Producer on Menace to Society.
Oh,
I used to like Menace to Society. That's quite a good film.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Megachurch Murder he produced. I don't know what has he directed.
So he's directed a bunch of B-grade horror films.
Some films. Yeah, Housekeeper's Revenge. No. So he's directed nothing of note.
This is going to be good.
Well, okay, so I guess that shoots that down as a potentially good homage to the original.
To me, it seems more like it's a reboot, really, than a sequel. Maybe they're even just slapping the Deep Blue Sea
brand
name on
it.
there, like Cloverfield does, where it's a movie that they just
shoehorn something in.
Yeah, maybe they would put this movie together and were editing it, and they just went, "Oh my god, this is not working. What the hell are we going to do? No one's going to see this piece of garbage.
Yeah.
Let's slap Deep Blue Sea on it."
Someone plumbing the depths looking for shark IP.
It was available. It popped up.
Yeah, probably sold
DeepBlueSea.com.
the rights.
Yeah, was available.
Threw in the website
for $1.
I'll give you the rights to Deep Blue Sea for $20, and I'm going to throw in the URL. Deep Blue Sea, but it's with a C, the letter C, because I couldn't get deepbluesea.com. No, .org.
.govt.
Yeah, okay, so Deep Blue Sea is probably not going to be any good, but it did make me think about watching the original again, which I have seen probably 10 times already. It's on that high rotate list of movies, which actually got me thinking about another thing, which was bad movies that you've seen too many times.
Like, we could talk for hours about
those movies that you shouldn't have watched this movie 5 times, but for some reason you've seen it way too many times. I don't know if you've got any that you can think of off the top of your head, but I can definitely think of a few.
Well, there's a lot of those from the 80s, definitely, that I watch as because of nostalgic reasons and guilty pleasure reasons, I guess. You know, Highlander or.
But I don't know if Highlander is considered a bad movie. I'm talking like...
You're talking true bad.
Just bad movies, you know, like the one that popped to mind when I just, again, for some reason, happened to be watching it the other week was the Clash of the Titans series with Sam Worthington. And I was watching, I was thinking, this is just such a bog standard nothing movie, but I've seen Clash of the Titans with Sam Worthington probably 4 times.
Wow.
I don't know why. I don't know how it happens. I don't know what power Sam Worthington has over me, but I have seen that film. I've seen the sequel to it probably 3 times.
I didn't like the sequel as much. I remember thinking the first one was tolerable.
Yeah, but like I don't know. But there's a bunch of films that for some reason just end up getting rotated through your playlist. You know that they're just they're not good films, you know, and there's not a lot of substance, but you've still nonetheless watched them. I don't know if anybody else has any other examples that they can think of. Maybe people can recommend some that they have on high rotate for no reason.
Yeah, it'd be good to know.
Yeah, but it was just an interesting thought. Like, what are the bad films that you watch?
Well, there's a lot of
too frequently.
I go back to the '80s ones because most of them they are bad, really. You know, Commando, Highlander. Highlander is pretty bad. It's a good idea and a good story and interesting characters, but it's quite badly made.
You don't think it was good even for the time?
No, I don't think it was even good for the time.
I mean, it was pretty low budget.
Yeah, it was low. So it was the first Terminator, though, and they managed to kind of... But
that's
James
true.
Cameron.
But then, Russell Mulcahy has not gone on to be the same caliber of director that James Cameron obviously has.
No, and that's,
on to.
you know, apples and oranges.
Of course, all that may change when we get the next 15 Avatar sequels dropping on us over the next decade of our life.
Not sure how he's going to pull that one off.
No. Bit of a segue there from Sam Worthington. Funny that they're making all of those back to back, and it seems like that brand is pretty well dead, and anyone who remembers it either is just sort of like whatever or has turned on the film altogether, right? I mean,
that's a movie that definitely gets worse every time you see it, really. I struggle to say that because I do, admire James Cameron a lot, and I respect a lot of the elements of that movie. That the technology, and the storytelling is very, very classic, and all the tropes of a hero's journey set in a beautiful sci-fi universe, great design and effects and characters and.
Yeah, you just get the feeling when you hear James Cameron talk about it that he's way more into the world that he created than anyone else is. You'll hear him speak and he says about this fantastic universe of characters and creatures and all of these things that we're yet to see, but does anybody want to see them? I mean, does anybody care, any more about Avatar? That said, if anyone can drop a new Avatar movie and make everybody eat their words, it's James Cameron.
He's consistently proven everybody wrong for decades.
Yeah. He's always he's been written off
again.
Yeah, time and time again. Yeah, you're wrong, James. This isn't going to be a hit.
Every project you hear about, you're like, what the hell?
It's too ambitious. It's too big.
Surely this is the nail in the coffin.
But like, how are you
going to Titanic? This Titanic is going down.
How are you going to impress people, though, the same way that you were blown away with Avatar, and to the same extent, you can still put Avatar on now on a big screen, if you have a nice Blu-ray copy of it, and see it and go, wow, this is so amazing.
Visual masterpiece.
Production design is beautiful.
Some action that is
visual effects
very,
are still
very
really good. Yeah, great action sequences.
Yep.
Nice, clean, it's easy to follow.
Clever ideas, wonderful sort of,
But if you took those visual effects away and the impact that they had, what is left, and how do you wow people in that same way, But then I guess that's it, isn't it? You wouldn't have thought that he could wow us with Aliens. You wouldn't have thought he could wow us with T2. You wouldn't have thought he could wow us with Titanic, and then Avatar. He keeps pushing the bar for what can be done on film higher and higher. But did it peak with Avatar? Has there been a movie as visually spectacular as Avatar since Avatar? That's been a quantum leap in visual effects where people have gone, holy dooly, this is insane.
No, he pushes the envelope every time in terms of technology and really revolutionizes things. He almost puts things into his movies that aren't used again after that.
Because nobody's got the balls to try it again, right? Like maybe the Planet of the Apes movies, the first one.
They utilised a lot of that kind of stuff.
Built off it, and the visual effects were they blew you away pretty significantly when that first one, and then when the sequel came out as well, you were like, wow, that is amazing. Look at those monkeys. That's phenomenal. But then the third one came out. You've seen it all before. The monkeys were like, oh, okay, yeah, look, it's wet monkey fur. I get it. It took a lot of time and 1,000 people to make that wet monkey fur.
A lot of rendering.
Yeah, a lot of rendering and expertise, but it's not impressive anymore, is it? It doesn't blow you away.
Shame on us.
We're so jaded.
Yeah.
We've got these people making these lovely things for us to watch,
And we just don't care.
shit all over.
Okay, speaking of visual directors, I don't really know how to pronounce his name properly. Properly?
Sorry.
Hang on, should I start that again?
Yeah, go on.
So speaking of visual directors,
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his name properly. French-Canadian filmmaker, Denis
Villeneuve.
Villeneuve?
Yeah, I think
Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah,
director of Sicario, Prisoners, Blade Runner 2049. Outstanding visual.
The current hotness.
He's going to take on Dune.
Yeah, I saw something about that. I saw the headline. Yeah.
And again, it's very much like James Cameron saying he's going to take on something, and everyone going, "Ooh, is this a step too far, buddy? You've really taken a risk there."
Is Dune a tougher... Dune's not as well regarded historically, I don't think, as Blade Runner.
No.
And he did Blade Runner 2049, and I thought it was just okay. Mm-hmm. It looked beautiful, but it was just okay for me. Okay. I think you liked it.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I love Sicario. I really like The Arrival, and I like Prisoners.
Mm-hmm.
Dune.
The thing with Dune is, I mean, the original Blade Runner. It's a flawed film, but you can see what was the intention there. It's beautifully visual, Harrison Ford, yada yada yada, and then translating it to modern day, very well done. The original Dune is a bit of a hot mess.
Yeah,
it's just plagued with problems, and it ended up being just a disaster. I haven't seen it in a long time now. I can barely remember it.
I remember seeing it probably from the video store, picking it just because it looked like a sci-fi. It looked like it would be something in line with Star Wars, which, was how most of my video rental choices were made when it came to sci-fi. Does it look like it's Star Wars? If it does, tick, I'll rent it. And I remember watching it and thinking, wow, this just seems dated, and I didn't like the world it was set in. I didn't like the look of the film.
It was a very dirty look.
Yeah, all dusty and orange all the time.
Bad optical effects.
Terrible effects.
Effects.
It seemed really dated compared to other things that were out at the same time. So I've never really been a fan. I've never watched, never read the book.
No.
I watched the documentary about Jodorowsky. I've got another name that we're not pronouncing right. The guy who was gonna direct it, I think it was the case, and that was really boring as hell. I just didn't interest. Usually I love a movie making of doco, but it just didn't grab me at all.
So do you think there's more room to maneuver here? You could really wipe the slate clean and make something new, and it's not going to offend any of the old fans, because the old fans don't really exist with this movie.
Yeah, I'm sure there's. I mean, bringing it up on IMDb here, I thought it was David Lynch, and so it's David Lynch.
Yeah.
I'm not personally a fan of David Lynch. I'm not a fan of that kind of weird, quirky film that he makes. So that's just not to my taste. I understand why people like him, but it's not for me. I don't know if you agree.
No, I agree.
Really
and most of his other films are a lot more existential and set in a more standard environment. I mean, this is really only one of the few films that he made that was a science fiction,
and probably a bad fit.
Yeah,
and I think he was going to do Return of the Jedi, if I'm not wrong. For a while there, he was going to make before Richard Marquand.
So this is his over? Return of the Jedi.
Well, I think so, because it's
similar time,
84. Yeah, so would they be planning, do you think, to be a launching point for a franchise?
Oh,
a Dune series? And obviously it's a pretty expansive storyline. I can't imagine anybody getting down with a Dune universe. The Dune-iverse series, maybe, I don't know. I mean,
maybe they're thinking, let's make one and see how it goes. Yeah.
There's stills coming up here.
I mean, they made this movie at a time when the effects were just not up to par to make this kind of movie.
No, yeah. Yeah, so maybe a bad fit of the wrong director for the material. I don't know, I guess we're maybe talking a bit out of our asses because we've never read the book. Maybe the book is amazing, and maybe if you know the book you would go, oh, there was so much stuff they left out and it could have been so much better, and actually it's a really thrilling adventure and it's really cool and it could be, so I don't know.
So if they take what made the book, work and fit all that into a new film, then there might be something there. There must be something about Dune that makes it worthwhile making it into a film.
Well, or is it just the old run out of ideas and new IP just is not working? I mean, look what happened to Valerian and the Wachowskis. Space opera one they made, and John Carter, and the track record at the moment for launching new film series based off these older, there's more misses than hits at the moment.
Yeah, well actually they're going to make a direct sequel to Robocop 2. Not 2, but Robocop.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you hear that?
This is just a recent announcement, and it might not even come to fruition. But Ed Neumeyer, the original writer of the first Robocop, and who wrote Starship Troopers as well.
Yeah.
That wonderful satirical.
Yeah, he's awesome. Edward Neumeyer's really, really good.
He announced that he was keen to write a direct sequel to the first Robocop.
Really? That would be interesting.
Yeah. And whether it throws out Robocop 2, 3 and the TV show and everything
You'd
else.
hope so. You'd hope so. I've always got a soft spot for Robocop 2.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near as good as 1, but it's still got some good moments. They recreate some of the feel of Paul Verhoeven's,
I feel they missed the mark.
Satirizing the American culture of violence and all of that. Yeah, but it's no original Robocop. Who would you get to direct it though? Who these days? No one these days would let a Paul Verhoeven make a film like Robocop in 2018. It would be impossible.
Yeah, you got to go R-rated. Definitely, you can't go PG-13 because that just wouldn't work. And maybe if you get the satire right, if you take what modern day politics, what's going on in the States today, and have a comment on that and find something new. Robocop was Reaganomics, the 80s.
Yeah, and I guess the reboot, tried weakly to sort of make some commentary, but didn't have the balls to go all the way.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I always feel like Robocop is such a time and a place film because you wouldn't be able to pull it off now because of the violence and the satire, blah blah blah, and the movie studios are so afraid of offending anybody, or having a small potential audience for a film. It's got to be as big as possible,
but also Robocop's, Murphy's story is told in that first film. His story is told. He loses his humanity and then gains it back again.
Somewhat, yeah.
So there's no room to expand there.
No, and he's kind of a, if it wasn't...
It's a one-trick pony
if
kind of thing.
Robocop didn't come out when it came out, the character's not very accessible. He's not super... he's not relatable, really, I guess. It's like...
just an everyman, really.
Yeah, so... I don't know, how do you make Robocop sort of have that mass appeal and introduce a new generation to a Robocop? And also technology is so much further advanced now that any Robocop movie that's set in a near future, in theory, would be look what they're doing at Boston Dynamics. We don't need to put a human brain into a robo suit anymore, so it would have to be something completely different, it'd have to be...
And that just sort of undoes the whole point of Robocop.
Yeah, like, I don't know, what's he going to be? Like a super intelligent AI antivirus program or something? He has no physical
That's
body.
Not very exciting.
No, like, I don't know how you would do it these days and make it believable.
Yeah, you could update the satirical political side of things and make it kind of a about Trump and about modern day America. You could do all of that, but the character of Robocop, can't really be updated into a modern era successfully.
Unless you set the film in the 80s. Oh, but you can't. No, forget that. It's a stupid point because Robocop wasn't set in the 80s. When is Robocop actually meant to be set? What's the year in Robocop? Like,
did they give it a year? Is it 2020 something? Do they
I
actually
don't know.
give it a year?
Yeah,
or do they
when
just
is
say
Robocop
the
set?
Not too distant future?
Anybody know? Robocop.
No, I'm sure the subtitle just says a few years from now or something like that, like Mad Max.
1989. No, it doesn't say. When is Robocop set? That's a good question. I have never once wondered, because I think you just assume that it tells you somewhere.
It just says the not too distant future.
The year 2000.
Definitely.
When is Robocop set? Yeah, interesting. So, yeah, I mean, already the technology's going to be so different, isn't it? It's not going to be what it was then. In 87, it was... that's what they imagined the reality of a robot policeman would be, right?
Yeah.
But we know it'll be something totally different now.
Plus
It'll be more like Chappie.
Yeah.
And look what happened to Chappie.
It was also more filmable in the 80s to put a man in a suit. What?
When is Robocop set? What year is Robocop set? Let's see.
I don't think they specifically say.
Yeah, it looks like the near future.
Yeah.
Is there any more specific clue? Who said it? Newmeyer said... Oh, really? 2043.
Who said that?
Edward Newmeyer. There was never a year on that picture, and that was actually a big fight at the time because people kept asking me, what year is this set in? And I kept saying, I'm not going to tell you. That was because I always thought, well, we'd pass it, but we haven't passed it in our... Oh, okay, so he didn't put a year on it because he didn't want us to then get to that year and go, hey, where's my Robocops? Right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of cool. But okay, so obviously maybe in a novelization or a book, it's 2043. So,
right,
Robocop looks pretty dated for 2043. When
well, if you think about it, it's really set in almost an alternate 1987.
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe. Like an alternate timeline where the corporations have taken
and
over in a different,
technology is a
more
little more
aggressive
advanced
way
than it actually is at the time. And
yeah, right.
it is almost like an alternate.
So, are we
reality.
going to say that Robocop is set in an alternate, technologically advanced 1987?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
So it could be a little bit like the Alien Isolation game, where it's set in the future, but it's got that retro feel to it.
Yeah, so you're saying you make a Robocop sequel that fits into the 87 Robocop Future Vision.
Yeah.
Done.
Sold.
All right, Green. Thank you.
Handshake.
It's a deal. Okay. Oh, that's all right. Well, I'm
I'm keen.
I'll watch anything that comes out that's sci-fi. So I'm sure we would watch that if that film comes out.
So speaking of the future, the future of gaming.
Yeah.
Is it in jeopardy? Are there still some golden games coming, or is it all just a bunch of disposable multiplayer, kid-friendly?
Yeah, this seems to be a question that's going around a lot, or at least in I think our reality.
Mm-hmm.
I've been, and I know you guys have as well, been watching a lot of Clean Prince Gaming's essays, and if you haven't checked out Clean Prince Gaming, then you really should, because that is some super well done, interesting, thoughtful commentary that he's putting out over there.
He gives you a real perspective on the current state of events in terms of gaming.
Yeah.
Where we're at, where we've been, where we're at, and where we're potentially going. And the future is looking a little bleak for some things in terms of single player gaming is thinning out, and it's it's in jeopardy a little bit.
Some big stuff on the horizon, like Red Dead Redemption and a couple of others, Anthem and things like that are coming out that everybody who cares about it is getting, like you say, concerned that there's not going to be any kind of deep single player experience, that there's just going to be multiplayer, monetizable, DLC and all of these things that are, obviously everybody's a bit up in arms about, but then we all still support the studios that are putting this stuff out by buying their games. And
well, it's a tricky thing, isn't it? Like, they don't make a lot of money from just selling the game on its own and having a strictly single player content.
Well, but that's the thing though. I mean,
unless it's we're
totally different gamers, you and I. You game on console, I game on PC. You like online, I only play offline single player.
But don't get me wrong, I love single player.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't see microtransactions and pay gated content affecting me as a gamer, because I don't play those games.
No, but it might do if the game developers only start to bring out online-only multiplayer games, and the single-player type game starts to disappear. Then it starts affecting you.
Well, that would be pretty sad for me. I mean, I don't know why.
I think it would be sad for the whole world, to be honest.
Well, it's a story form that is in danger of disappearing, I guess, unless people vote with their wallets and start supporting single-player focused, story-driven games.
Now, a lot of people are thinking, well, hang on a second, there are still a lot of single-player games out there, and there's a lot on the horizon. That is true, but the potential problem is that these games will come out and they'll have a single-player element to them, but the single-player element will be a 4-hour playthrough.
Yeah.
See now, and then
you're playing Battlefront 2, and I was interested in playing Battlefront 2.
That's exactly the problem.
I didn't play the first one, but when I heard that the single-player campaign was going to be beefed out in 2, I was quite hopeful, and I might have considered buying it, but then when the reality was that the single-player campaign was, I don't know how long it was, but it's
about that, 4 or 5 hours. I suppose.
4 or 5 hours. I don't know. That's not enough. I mean, I run a year behind on games anyway because you get them at a better price.
Yeah.
You can get them in the Steam sale or from EB or one of the gaming stores on special. And that's how I buy all my games. But to pay, that day of release price for a game that's only got a 5 or 6 hour single player campaign, it's just not good enough value if you're not playing online. And like you're saying, that's a whole segment of gamer that's gonna feel pretty well, I don't know, pushed into the cold, really, right? I mean,
and I don't know, are we the minority, us people who enjoy large, in-depth single-player games? Are we losing the fight? And more people getting into gaming, and they're playing, the online multiplayer things.
I mean, there's room for everything, surely. Like there's room for your Overwatch fans and your PUBG and Fortnite. There's room for all of that.
Yeah, but the difference is that the online is where the money is being made. And the companies are realizing they're making way more money with DLC and online purchases and microtransactions than making in-depth quality single-player content, because that's a one-off purchase. Whereas online is endless. Your pockets are as deep as you want them to be, and you could spend far more on online content than you ever would on just purchasing the problem, game. The
problem with that model is that in order for you to to feel the need to spend your money on DLC or unlockable content, you need to make the game in such a way that you kind of have to buy that stuff in order to progress or in order to keep up with everybody else playing the game, like Clean Prince Gaming was pointing out with GTA Online. How impenetrable that is for a rookie player. And I mean, we've both put hundreds of hours into GTA 5, but I played it for 10 minutes online and I was like I gotta get the hell out of here. This is
'cause
ridiculous.
You're just destroyed.
I can't compete with anybody.
No.
I can't buy anything. And as someone who fundamentally refuses to get involved with microtransactions or paying to unlock things, no, it's rough, isn't it? You're sort of kept out of this experience that everybody else is willingly. I don't know. It's a tough one.
Well, the makers of GTA 5, Rockstar. It is Rockstar, right?
Yeah, Rockstar.
They've just outright said that they, a big part of their money making is from the online content. That's what they've focused on for the last 5 years, and that's why there's been no, single player DLC for GTA 5 at all. It's all been online content, and that's what they've focused on because they've made.
Yeah, I think Clean Prince
gosh knows how much.
$500 million from online content.
Yeah,
and
but they're not trying to hide it or anything. They've said out loud.
They should be. I mean,
this is where the money's at, and we're happy to keep doing this.
Entirely up to them to do that, isn't it? That's their prerogative.
But they didn't realise that when they first made the game. They didn't know. They made a single player game with an online element to it.
Yeah.
And it's only since the game came out. Yes, people bought it for the single player en masse, which was great. But since then, in the years after that, they've gone, oh my gosh, look at this online content. Look at the
fat stacks of cash we're making.
Yeah, and it's all of a sudden changed their entire structure.
Which is the concern for Red Dead Redemption. That's the concern
for all future games and all future gaming companies. I mean, COD is a prime example of microtransactions, and like Call of Duty World War II, short single player campaign.
That's the thing, and I don't know if younger, I'm an older gamer, I guess, at this stage. Right? I don't know, like Battlefront 2, Battlefield 1, and COD World War II should have been. I mean, I've bought and played every single other Call of Duty game,
Yeah.
But that one was the one where I felt like, no, I'm done with this. I'm over it. Battlefield 1. I've played all of the Battlefield games.
Okay.
Battlefield 1, I was like, no, it's online only. There's no single player campaign.
Well, there is a single player campaign, but it's very short. But the difference is
nothing of worth. Not to me.
Battlefield's always really been a multiplayer shooter, and you sort of accept that. Call of Duty started out strictly single player, and then
kind of wrote the rule book on
around
multiplayer.
What was it? Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare. That's where it really started to click into multiplayer. But the single player element was still really strong. Like
you could still buy a Call of Duty game up until recently and get a reasonable,
single player campaign.
Like I was saying, I almost picked up Advanced Warfare for $1 from EB Games the other week, and I'm kind of gutted that I didn't. But even then, you didn't mind. I mean, I guess the single player campaign was getting smaller and smaller with every one.
Yeah,
I used to justify it by saying, "Oh, well, it's like a good 6-hour movie. Imagine getting to play a 6-hour movie. So if a movie ticket costs $10, and I think some other gaming reviewer does a ratio of $1 per hour. So you should get $1 value out of every hour. So
it makes sense.
If a game costs $60, you should get 60 hours of gameplay, which it kind of works. And then so if a game goes into, like, say, The Witcher 3, which I go on about all the time, which cost me, I think I paid $50 for that on special on Steam. I bought both the DLC expansions for it. So maybe I spent $70 on The Witcher 3, but I've probably put 140 hours into that game.
And that's one of the rare gems, really. I mean, everyone knows how great The Witcher 3 is. People won't shut up about it.
Certain people won't shut up about The Witcher 3.
But I immensely appreciate what they've done by strictly making an in-depth single-player game that you get from day one when you buy that.
GTA 5 was the same, though. I mean, we've put hundreds of hours into that game, even beyond the story, but beyond the single-player campaign, just spending time in GTA 5. I've spent hundreds of hours in that world.
Yeah, and that's what they built when they originally made it and released it. It was only after that they realised what the online the online angle was
And
getting for them, and they're potentially changing now future games, and that's a concern.
There's, I guess, maybe another thing as well is like there's those few games where the single player campaign is so interesting, and that the open world they've created, like the Far Cry series. We've got Far Cry 5 coming up, which again is causing some concerns for people, but still, I would say Far Cry, actually all of the Far Cry games, and I'm playing Primal at the moment, I've played the story campaign, the single player campaign, I've played it through 2 or 3 times on each one.
Yeah, me too.
Because the world was so immersive and so enjoyable to spend time in there that you were happy to sit through the story again, and play through it over and over.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe even that's getting rarer and rarer, and if you ditch the storyline, I don't know. Yeah. Again, there's, I guess people are getting a bit of sandbox open world fatigue now that everything is open world. And I mean, I know, the indie studios and the little studios do make like standalone, compelling, linear stories that you can play. I don't know how it bodes. I mean, Far Cry 5 and Red Dead Redemption coming up. Those are the two that are really sort of on my horizon.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I think, unfortunately, money talks. Money wins out, and they're running a business.
Yeah, and everybody's going to answer to someone, and those people want their money, don't they? So
shareholders.
at the end of
the
day,
they're corporations, and they
want to keep the
make
doors open,
as much money as they can. And unfortunately, that's what they're going to do. But it could potentially harm the industry if they're not careful. There needs to be some kind of breakthrough or some kind of revolution, or
it probably is just going to be a cyclical thing, and it'll the whole loot crate microtransaction thing will hit a point. There'll be a mass sort of rejection of that model, and they'll shift back to...
You do look like the bad guy when you start putting microtransactions. It's become a word, a taboo word.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
And people, scoff your game if you've got that in there.
If it's, a day of release and the following weeks, if it comes out, such and such is littered with microtransactions. I mean, I guess as an age group, the really younger players who... have only grown up with microtransactions, will only know about loot crates, and I guess the younger kids who are obsessed with the cosmetic enhancements and things that you can buy, and weapon skins and emotes and things like that. I mean, I guess I'm just too old to understand the value of any of that stuff. To me, it just seems like pointless garbage.
It is. I mean, if you think about it, you're spending real money on virtual items. It's quite insane.
That sniper rifle that sold in Counter-Strike, I think last month for $63,000.
Real dollars.
Real dollars, yeah. A sniper rifle.
Virtual
with a special skin. I haven't played much CS::GO. I've played a little bit, but not enough to get deep into it. And obviously, there's all the controversy around the CS::GO lotteries and all of that stuff as well. But
gamers out there need to prioritize what's important in life, and I think spending real money on things in a game. What do you pay for an Xbox
game on day of release these days?
New Zealand dollars, I don't know, $90 or something.
$90,
maybe $100.
That should be enough to get you the whole freaking game. That should buy you the game.
It does sometimes.
I don't mind if you want to make an expansion pack down the line and bring out extra content, like extra maps and levels and stuff. That's fine. I've bought that stuff for The Witcher. I bought it for what was the other game I bought? Just Cause. I bought some expansion packs for Just Cause 3. To me that seemed like good value.
The other problem is the season pass, where you pay.
Yeah, I don't know any.
What is it, like $60 for a game, and you could pay $30 or $40 for a season pass, and that gives you access to all of the downloadable content first before anyone else or whatever later on, or for free.
Okay,
but you're committing to something that you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, and what if the DLC is garbage? What if they don't?
Which it often.
What if it never comes out? What if? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I just through being a tight ass have shifted to the buying a year behind and picking stuff up on sale.
Waiting for a year as well, you can often get the
Game of the Year edition.
The Game of the Year edition, which has all the extended
edition.
extra DLC stuff included.
Yeah, like I was saying, I just picked up the Metro Redux collection, which is Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light for $9. It's got all of the DLC, all of the expansions. It's an older game, but it's still a classic single player, story, unlike anything that will get released to a mainstream audience these days. So, there is ways to get around. I don't personally think, that people should buy games on the day of release. I think that's a good way to send a message.
It's hard to.
I think you got to wait.
Hard not to sometimes, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
You've been waiting for a long time,
just wait a bit longer. Buy the thing that came out last year, and just shift to running a year behind, and then the game has had it's been fully patched.
Yeah.
Like I was late to the Division, so I didn't start playing the Division until the 1.8 patch came out. And to me, I don't know any of the pain and the grief of the people that went before me that had to put up with all the bugginess. And, to me, the Division runs smooth and looks amazing, plays pretty well, I don't know. Yeah, I say run a year behind on your gaming. Happy days.
Seen any good TV shows lately?
Smooth, man. Yes and no, actually. Obviously, there's been there's just so much TV out these days. I'm only just getting, only just watched The Handmaid's Tale Season 1, only just watched Mindhunter Season 1. I'm so far behind on TV.
Yep.
A friend of mine, I don't know about you, but I'm quite a big fan of Greg McLean, the Australian director, who directed Wolf Creek and Rogue. I guess he's like a bit of a modern-day George Miller-esque Australian director. He makes these gritty, brutal... very Australian-seeming movies. I don't know, Wolf Creek, I think, is one of the best horror films ever made. It just ticks all the boxes for me. Rogue.
I haven't seen it.
You've never seen Wolf Creek?
No, you keep recommending it.
Oh, and Wolf Creek 2 as well,
yeah.
Which is way more Mad Maxy than Wolf Creek 1.
Is that with the alligator, or is that another one?
No, that's Rogue.
Rogue.
And yeah. Rogue, which is a great B-movie about a giant croc in the outback which stalks a boatload, has Sam Worthington in it and is one of his very first ever on-screen roles.
Oh, man.
And the always reliable Radha Mitchell and the Michael Vartan from Alias.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Anyway, so
I recognise him. I saw him.
Greg McLean I really like.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine said, there's a Wolf Creek TV show has come out on one of the smaller cable-type networks.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, great. My wife really likes Wolf Creek as well. So it was odd. We watched the first season of it the other week, and it was the weirdest first season of a show I've seen in terms of like quality drop-off.
Oh.
Yeah, when you're watching a TV show and you're like, this is good, I'm liking this, and then it just starts to collapse on itself.
I've seen a lot of movies like that recently.
It seems to be a bit of a pattern that's going on. So anyway, yeah, if anybody's a Wolf Creek fan out there, Season 1 of Wolf Creek is one of the worst seasons of television I think I've ever seen. Unlikable characters. The main character, Mick, who's the killer from the series, is sidelined for the whole... one of those weird decisions where you're watching it and you finish it and you think, where the hell was Mick Taylor, the main character of this series, was barely in this, and we're focusing on this character that we don't even like. And so anyway, we were far enough behind that the second season was also out. I'm surprised it got a second season, but I can kind of see how a certain audience would see the first season and think it was, passable if they haven't seen the movies. Anyway, Season 2 of Wolf Creek, and what is almost an unheard of thing, is really, really good.
Ah.
Yeah, so they made a Season 2 comeback, which you don't see very often, and it's obviously pretty dangerous, because if you bomb on the first season, you lose your audience. No one's going to be there to watch the second season, but the second season was really, really well done.
Continuation of the first, or did they kind of redo a lot of ideas?
you could see there was almost a conscious effort to reset the clock and start again with a completely self-contained storyline that only barely references the first season. So I only bring it up because it was interesting as a fan of Greg McLean and Wolf Creek that, something that could be so bad in the first season had a really good comeback in season 2. And that was one of the shows that I've watched in the last month, cool. Amongst Mindhunter, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, Mindhunter was amazing. Psychology degree, show. Like, watch that to figure out how people, well, I'd say work, but how people don't work.
Yeah, really, that was really good. And Handmaid's Tale, I thought, totally lived up to the hype. We also watched Big Little Lies, which was just terrible. I can't understand the reviews for that show. I don't know what people are thinking, rating it. I mean, you go on to Metacritic, and it's 10, 10, 10. Just, I don't know, garbage soap. Failed to impact on any level, I thought.
Seems like a lot of the good things out there don't get the high reviews, and a lot of the really not good things seem to get high reviews. It's all a bit topsy-turvy and a bit crazy lately.
Yeah, there's been it seems like that, right? I mean, I don't know, it's people afraid to speak their mind, or the mob mentality. Everybody just,
it's like somebody
doesn't
says
want to
the show is amazing,
the popular opinion.
Yeah, and then everyone's like, oh, I guess
I don't
it's
want to
amazing.
be wrong.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it a 10.
Yeah,
and then when something's bad, everyone jumps on the hate train. That's the usual there. But it's interesting that, if somebody gives a show or a film a really high review, it seems like everybody else kind of is too afraid to go against that.
Well, it seems to have a cumulative effect, doesn't it? Like the more good reviews, the less likely people are to put out an opposing opinion about something. Like, say, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which we also watched this week, which I thought was a totally fine film, but I don't see how people are rating it as one of the greatest films of all time. The reviews are just they're too over the top. They're so heaping praise on this film, and I mean, it's just an okay film. It's fine. It's got some massive plot holes and some real issues, but it's also got some great performances, some snappy dialogue.
Yeah,
it's shot well and acted well. I mean, I don't know.
This always happens around Oscar time, where a lot of the Oscar nominated movies, you sort of like, oh, yeah, that's okay. It doesn't. Yeah, why is this any different from any other movie that comes out during the year? Is it just the timing, or people just get caught up in some hype over something? And it's like you go back over all the Oscar nominated movies from the 90s and 2000s and stuff, and you're just like, I don't want to watch any of these. There's very few that you can point a finger at and go, you know what, that is still a great movie.
Yeah, I've watched that so many times.
Yeah, there's so many other nominees, and even Best Picture ones where you're just like, oh god, that one Best Picture, that was
because you've totally forgotten that it even exists.
Yeah, let alone think it's an okay movie.
Yeah. The current climate of overhyping things, I think, maybe just to be heard in the crowd. You want to be the one who, makes the biggest noise about how good something is, or not be seen to have the wrong opinion or whatever it is dangerous, I think, because people watch and read reviews to get an honest opinion, not a biased opinion because someone is too afraid to be honest. I don't know, but I felt like that with Big Little Lies and 3 Billboards for sure. The hype was far too high.
Yeah.
There's
almost whatever's going on at the time, in the current times, in the political sphere or in the cultural sphere, seems to affect how people perceive certain movies. If it's about a feminist...
careful.
Yeah, I'm careful. A feminist... empowering
possible,
movie, that at the moment those
theory,
sorts of movies are more... praised and rewarded, and that's fine, but it's just people need to be aware of what's going on in the world at the time, and which movies kind of
I mean, and I guess
stand out.
At the end of the day, it's all reviews and all awards are ultimately just a waste of your time, aren't they? If you like a film, you like a film. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
All the movies I've ever liked have never won any awards.
Well, not all of them. But yeah, like Deep Blue Sea did not get nominated for anything, I'm sure.
What?
Your best
that
picture.
That was Best
99.
Picture 99.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the shark got Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, and it was it was a big year for sharks, and a lot of people were saying for years, why don't sharks get nominated for roles? And so Hollywood, came to the fore and really stood up that year and said,
clean sweep, Deep Blue Sea.
hashtag sharks for
That was,
awards.
I mean, in '99, hashtagging shark film was pretty ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
I don't.
But yeah, the shark won the award, and
And without Deep Blue Sea, there'd be no Sharknado. There'd be no Sci-Fi Channel. Sci-Fi would be out of business if it weren't for Deep Blue Sea.
And with that, we come to an end of our podcast.
Was it a podcast?
Yeah, I don't know if podcast is the right word. It's just a chat.
Yeah, just a
Fireside chat.
Fan-side chat, because it's bloody hot as hell in here.
A hot as hell chat.
But, so I guess, yeah, if you are a fan of Deep Blue Sea, or any of the other things, or have a bad movie that you have watched too many times that defies explanation as to why you've seen it, or a game that you recommend, a good single-player game.
Something that's underrated.
Yeah, something we should check out.
Yeah.
Let us know, right?
Let us know. Let us know everything, because we know nothing.
Yeah, we don't know a lot.
No, we really don't.
We're
sort of
actually
realised
really
that.
hoping that the comments, if there are any, would inform our opinions and show us the way to go.
Yeah, we're really, really stupid.
It's like a reverse podcast.
Yeah, we're not informing you. You're going to inform us.
And maybe not even. We'll just be left in the dark.
If no one comments, then we'll remain naive and stupid. So you need to help us, people. Tell us what's what. So anyway, thanks for listening.
Yeah, if you made it this far, God.
Oh my goodness, you're...
If you made it all the way to
Brave.
the end, you deserve a prize.
Well, we won't give you one, but you deserve one.
We will think of you.
Yeah.
Next time I have a shower.
I'm thinking of you right now. So yeah, thanks for listening. We're getting out of here for now.
Yep.
We've been Admiralty Entertainment. Thumbs up the video. Subscribe.
May or may not do another one.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Let us know if you liked it anyway. We'll do one.
Yeah.
Either way.
All right. Cool.
Take care.
See you later.